In the shadowed heart of ancient Rome, where the scent of incense mingled with human sweat, whispers of rebellion crackled like an undertow beneath the surface. It was a world where emperors wielded power like a double-edged sword, one side dipped in glory and the other in blood. To be a Christian here was to walk a path littered with silent danger, a path that could lead to salvation or a chilling fate. Enter Deacon Lawrence, a figure of defiant charity and indomitable faith, who stared down the emperor's wrath with a courage that would prove as unyielding as the flames destined to consume him. Gather around, for this is a tale of belief against the blaze, a slice of history served hot and undeniable. Picture this, the bustling cityscape of 3rd century Rome, a metropolis pulsating with the clamour of trade and the constant machinations of power. The Roman Empire, stretching imposingly from Britain's misty shores to Egypt's sun-scorched dunes, was a marvel teetering on the edge of chaos. This was an age drawn in shadows, where empires and ordinary lives collided, and a new faith began to unsettle the ancient world's established order. The heart of Rome was alive with a myriad of beliefs, yet among them sprouted a small, distinct faith: Christianity. In an age where emperors were venerated almost as gods, this burgeoning cult possessed a flair for defiance that frightened its rulers. Rome, once a pantheon of diverse deities ensuring cosmic harmony, now found itself challenged by a faith that claimed there was only one true God. By the time Emperor Valerian ascended the throne in 253 CE, the empire wobbled like a weary giant, beset by rebellions, economic strife, and constant threats along its vast borders. The empire, ironically, had grown too vast, too cumbersome, with an insatiable hunger for control. Against this backdrop, Christianity did not merely thrive as a defiant cult, but burgeoned into an influential faith, embedding itself in society from the lowest slaves to the high-ranking senators. Valerian, grasping for stability within his fragile empire, perceived this new faith as a menace to Roman unity. Determined to extinguish this perceived threat, Valerian's edicts declared Christianity as state enemies, hastening the enforcement of harsh penalties against its adherents. The edicts were no idle threats. Valerian's decrees launched a campaign to crush the Christian movement by dismantling its leadership and confiscating church properties. These measures aimed to erode the faith's foundations, but rather than extinguishing the Christian spirit, they fanned its flames, setting the stage for a legacy of martyrdom. Christians, now targets of imperial edicts, faced public squares filled with spectators eager for entertainment or retribution, where the fate of defiant souls would be sealed amidst grim revelries of imperial law. Rome, with its sprawling tapestry of peoples and cultures, was a city divided over this burgeoning faith. While some viewed Christianity as a subversive enemy of traditional Roman values and ancestral rites, others found in its teachings a beacon of hope, offering moral renewal amidst perceived societal decay. This cultural collision between Rome's expectations and Christian defiance turned into a powder keg ready to explode. Faced with stark choices, Christians found themselves compelled to navigate a dual existence, outwardly adhering to the dictates of Roman life, while cloaked in the clandestine warmth of shared faith. Soldiers, informants and public ceremonies mobilised to enforce Valerian's decrees, all under a guise of law and order that painted the streets with the shadow of fear. Those who refused to abandon their beliefs were met with cruelty, a theatre of distress where crucifixions, floggings and exile served as a display of consequences for defying imperial might. Yet this raw brutality insisted on public participation, revealing a dark irony. Instead of deterring the faithful, it often galvanized them, turning the destruction of their lives into enduring stories of courage and conviction. The cultural struggle was profound, a collision between the polytheistic empire and the monotheistic believers. Rome thrived on religious pluralism, a divine mosaic ensuring balance in earthly affairs. But to the Christians, only one God deserved their devotion, creating an inflexible clash with the Roman ideal of eternal empire. While the Romans struggled to grasp the concept of a caring deity capable of an intimate relationship with believers, Christians were driven by an eschatological vision of Christ's return and the dawn of a transformative world. These beliefs, wrapped in mysterious secrecy, labelled Christians as agitators against the Pax Deorum, the peace of the gods. Amidst this divisive climate, the Christians' refusal to yield birthed a unique subculture of defiance. Martyrdom emerged as a compelling narrative woven into the burgeoning Christian identity, encapsulating themes of sacrifice and redemption. Public executions became grand, albeit tragic, showcases of faith, with men and women willingly facing death as testament to divine truth. Their resolve intrigued Roman society, which valued virtues like strength and virtue, thus attracting more souls curious about this faith that flourished amidst persecution. In hidden catacombs beneath Rome, Christians celebrated clandestine gatherings, whispering secrets of their faith amid the flickering shadows. These meetings became crucial for preserving traditions, providing solace, and declaring resistance against an indifferent empire. Cryptic symbols, like the ichthys, the fish, offered coded messages marking spiritual havens, becoming both a safeguard and a symbol of unity against the empire's oppressive arm. Ironically, Valerian's efforts to crush Christianity often only strengthened its resolve. Rather than stamping out the fire, the Roman state inadvertently fueled it, transforming martyrs into powerful icons of an indomitable faith smouldering beneath the empire's grandeur. Narratives of divine endurance spread beyond Roman borders, gathering intrigue far and wide. These tales echoed through theologians' works and oral traditions, expanding Christianity's reach and embedding it in Roman consciousness, paving the way for a faith destined to transcend its time of persecution. The shadows of Roman catacombs and the flames of execution fires connect us to that pivotal era of persecution. Far from obliterating a new faith, these oppressive actions only immortalised it, a remarkable testament to human resilience. Looking onward, we prepare to encounter Lawrence, a man whose legendary faith amid persecution still flickers like a beacon across history's vast sea. In the early 3rd century CE, amidst the vast expanse of the Roman Empire, a young boy named Lawrence emerged from humble beginnings. His birthplace, likely somewhere in Hispania, steeped in a rich tapestry of cultures and traditions, set the stage for a life marked by quiet piety and profound empathy. Lawrence's family, devout in their beliefs, imparted values of charity and humility, which became his life's compass. From a tender age, he exhibited an innate compassion, sharing whatever little he had with those less fortunate. These formative years, defined by simplicity rather than grandeur, forged in him a relentless dedication to service, a path leading almost inevitably to the burgeoning Christian communities within the empire. Rome was a city of drastic contrasts, majestic and ruthless. It was a world of palatial splendour, overshadowed by grim poverty. Amidst this backdrop, Lawrence found his true calling. As the Christian faith slowly etched its way into the imperial psyche, Lawrence made a pivotal move to Rome, then the heart of the empire. This bustling metropolis, teeming with both vast riches and destitution, witnessed Lawrence's ascension to the role of deacon under Pope Sixtus II. This was more than a mere title, it was a testament to his unwavering dedication to the physical and spiritual welfare of the needy. In an age where the church was forced into the shadows by relentless persecution, Lawrence stood as a beacon of hope, visibly extending the hand of charity in a society rife with oppression. His daily tasks as a deacon mirrored the revolts of a heart consumed by empathy. Lawrence was deeply involved in the church's charitable operations, orchestrating the distribution of alms and ensuring widows, orphans, and the sick were cared for. His charisma resonated far beyond words, transforming his compassion into a tangible force that rallied the spirits of the marginalised. The ruthless Roman backdrop throbbed with tension, a capital swirling in political intrigue and stark economic divide. Here, Lawrence's commitment to helping the poor transcended mere generosity. It was an act of defiance against societal norms. His every gesture, whether a comforting word or a coin for the indigent, challenged Roman conventions, defying the empire's deification of wealth and power. Beyond Rome's grandiose facade, Lawrence was embedded within a clandestine network, akin to an underground lifeline. This web of charity sustained Rome's most vulnerable citizens, operating with the secrecy and precision reminiscent of the empire's own administrative machinations. Lawrence's reputation began to ripple through adjacent territories, connecting communities under the singular banner of hope he unfurled. His endeavours extended beyond material aid. They exemplified a reclaiming of dignity by reminding the overlooked that they were seen and they mattered. Lawrence's work was not without peril. In an empire that scorned monotheism, his role walked a perilous edge. Society was a tinderbox, and Lawrence's acts of kindness, a flame that both comforted and threatened. The Christian ideology posited equality over hierarchy, a notion that deeply unsettled the Roman elite. As such, Lawrence's acts carried whispers of rebellion, quietly inciting a revolution against a deeply entrenched social order. The looming spectre of persecution never dimmed his resolve, which only burned brighter in the face of looming threats. Lawrence's influence was palpable. Within the winding streets of Rome, he engendered a sense of community among the disenfranchised. He knew their stories and struggles, forging bonds that transformed charity into kinship. His impact stretched beyond mere almsgiving. He nurtured a resilient community, unified by shared acts of kindness and an unyielding commitment to compassion. This network of solidarity ignited a will to resist and reform, embodying a silent revolt that defied the rigid hierarchies of Roman life. In a society where Christians were frequently the scapegoat for turmoil, Lawrence's charity was layered with risk. Emperor Valerian had intensified efforts to root out Christians, perceiving them as a threat to Rome's civic harmony. Yet Lawrence, with remarkable indifference to his own safety, continued his mission, a testament to an inner strength that transcended fear. The church, under siege but undaunted, symbolised defiance against imperial oppression. Lawrence's martyrdom was etched into the annals of history, a testament to his enduring faith. Installations such as Deacon during precarious times showcased his resolve to illuminate the path with patience, fortitude, and love. His calm acceptance of fate, tinged with a quiet joy, marked a profound conviction that echoed across time. For him and his contemporaries, martyrdom was not an end but a testament, crystallizing the Christian message in the face of adversity. The seeds of Lawrence's martyrdom were planted in his indomitable spirit, a life devoted to compassion and service. His sacrifice wasn't an extinguishing of light, but rather its amplification. Through his death, his legacy of faith and determination resonated, inspiring generations. Chroniclers immortalized his story, his figure becoming a guiding star for the Christian world, an enduring legacy of how one life, dedicated to selflessness, can become a beacon of hope in a realm of uncertainty. In the tumultuous 3rd century CE, the Roman Empire stretched across vast territories, a colossal entity teetering on the brink of upheaval. The empire's coffers strained under its weight, and the whispers in the gilded halls of power suggested that the Christian church was hoarding untold wealth. Rumour had it that this wealth could rescue the faltering empire. Yet how true those whispers were, none truly knew. The church's influence had been growing among various social strata, and as the emperors struggled to maintain control, they viewed this burgeoning faith with suspicion and disdain. In this atmosphere of tension and suspicion, Deacon Lawrence emerged as a devoted servant of the poor, whose acts of charity had not gone unnoticed. The prefect of Rome summoned him during a stifling summer, a moment when the empire's eyes seemed scrutinizing him intensely. Lawrence was more than just a religious figure. To those in power, he was a potential link to the church's hidden fortunes. With quiet resolve, he prepared himself for a confrontation that hovered like a dark cloud on the horizon. Knowing the pressure he faced was as much a test of his faith as a challenge to imperial authority. Standing in the magistrate's hall, its grandeur veiled by cold stone walls and austere purpose, Lawrence found himself face to face with the prefect. The prefect, a figure hardened by power, embodied the strict might of imperial Rome. With a gaze as unyielding as marble, the prefect demanded Lawrence lay bare the treasures of the church, hoping to seize what he imagined was hidden wealth. Yet, this moment was laced with irony, for what the prefect sought lay beyond the mere grasp of imperial ambition. Lawrence, standing calm and composed, listened to the demands with an attentive ear, and prepared himself for a response that might surprise both the prefect and history itself. As the prefect's words lingered in the air, Lawrence decided to unveil the true riches of the church. His eyes met the prefect's with unyielding determination as he declared, "These are the treasures of the church," gesturing not towards gold or silver, but towards the poor and marginalised, those the church had embraced and uplifted. This declaration was no mere rebuttal. It was a testament to the Christian ethos that valued human lives over material wealth. Lawrence's profound words aimed to shift the perspective from temporal possessions to the rich tapestry of lives transformed by faith and charity. As Lawrence's message reverberated through the halls, the reaction of Roman authorities was one of incredulity mixed with rage. Accustomed to equating power with material wealth, they found his claim incomprehensible. They saw his defiance as a direct affront to imperial authority. Within the mighty architecture of Roman power, Lawrence's act posed a dangerous challenge. His steadfast courage signified a rising ideological storm, one that required more than force to subdue. The prefect, representing the harsh reality of Roman governance, saw Lawrence as emblematic of a threatening movement that needed to be halted. Meanwhile, the Christian community rallied around Lawrence, drawing strength from his audacity. His act was a beacon of unity, reinforcing their resolve against waves of persecution. Whispers and secret gatherings echoed praises for Lawrence's boldness, affirming their collective purpose that transcended the Empire's attempts to fragment them. This newfound unity, sparked by Lawrence's courage, imbued the Church with a resilience that would continue to grow long after his lifetime. Socially, Lawrence's statement resonated deeply. In a society mired in materialism, he challenged the exclusionary hierarchy of Roman society. By elevating the marginalised as the true treasures, he stirred conversations not just within the Church, but also amongst those disenchanted with Rome's rigid structures. His message provided a lens for the underprivileged to see themselves as part of a greater movement, fostering dignity and purpose across societal lines. Beyond that, Lawrence's actions became a catalyst for resistance within the Empire. His martyrdom crystallised broader discontent with imperial policies, uniting disparate acts of defiance into a cohesive movement. Christians and sympathisers alike saw in Lawrence's serene defiance a model of moral fortitude against tyranny, offering a narrative of collective dignity and resistance that stood firm against the forces of oppression. When Valerian issued his edict, he did not foresee how this strategy would backfire. Through Lawrence's unwavering stance, Valerian's attempt to suppress the faith inadvertently galvanised the Christian community. Each persecution only strengthened their resolve, showcasing the enduring power of belief over imperial might. Lawrence's defiance highlighted the limits of Roman authority and underscored the growing strength of an unwavering faith. As Lawrence prepared for his fate, the reality became clear. The path ahead was marked with certainty of persecution. The Christian community readied itself, drawing inspiration from Lawrence's courage and determination. He faced his future with grace, ensuring that the ideals he cherished would endure beyond his personal sacrifice, bridging the gap between defiance and submission. Within Rome's imposing halls, Lawrence's legacy was cemented, a testament to resilience and the transformative power of unwavering devotion. As the sun began to descend, casting long shadows over Rome, Deacon Lawrence stood in the imposing halls of the imperial court. Eyes from all corners of power bore into him. Whispers filled the air, and the rustling of robes created a symphony of judgment. Lawrence knew his defiance had crossed a line where faith and rebellion blurred, drawing him into the centre of a tale woven with threads of ancient cruelty. Under Emperor Valerian's iron rule, Christians faced not just imprisonment, but executions designed to terrify. Lawrence's sentencing encapsulated this brutal policy, where justice was dispensed efficiently, with cruelty that defied imagination. The room's stillness felt oppressive, like a heavy cloak, as this dark theatre unfolded. For Lawrence, opposing the powerful Roman Empire wasn't merely political. It was a courageous stand against a civilization rooted in the worship of its pagan gods. His trial became an ideological battlefield, marking him as an agitator worthy of a horrific death. Though accused of defying authority by protecting the church's treasures, his true crime was compassion, an affront for which Rome had no tolerance. As the edict of his fate reverberated through the court, Lawrence's calm acceptance only magnified his resolve, in stark contrast to the inferno that awaited him. His story was not one of mere punishment. It was a testament to Rome's will to maintain unyielding control. The edict condemning Lawrence to death by fire carried a chilling authority, designed to act as a deterrent. Bold, fiery theatre meant to scare others into submission. The method of roasting alive was reserved for those deemed so dangerous that fear had to be crafted like an artisan's masterpiece. It demonstrated Rome's reach, a breathtakingly cruel expression of its aims to squash any discord. For the Empire, fire symbolised more than mere destruction. It represented cleansing and transformation. It was emblematic of Rome's own self-perception, a mirror to its rituals and ceremonies. Yet the irony was profound. The flames meant to silence Lawrence would, in fact, immortalise him. His sentence highlighted Rome's desperation, using fear as a tool to uphold shaky dominance over a world in flux. The very act intended to quench a growing faith instead fanned its flames, ensuring Lawrence's story burned brighter than the fire of his demise. Rome's judicial rituals turned executions into grand, public spectacles, elaborate performances where politics met theatre. Such moments both entertained and reminded citizens of the state's overpowering authority. Lawrence's sentence was not a simple end. It was a meticulous act of deterrence, illustrating Rome's view that pain could harmonise divine wrath and human frailty. Rome exploited fire's dual nature, its capacity to both destroy and purify, to enforce its will, attempting to burn dominance into the societal psyche. The roasting of Lawrence was designed to echo as mythic deterrence, inscribing a narrative of control deeper than any edict. Fire carried an ancient symbolism, the power to transform, touch, and transcend. To Rome's polytheistic beliefs, fire's elemental force was divine, a cleanser and a barrier breaker between worlds. Executing Lawrence with fire promised a purification that was as much spiritual as it was political. It was a keen reminder that even an empire's might could falter against faith unshaken by fiery ordeals. Lawrence's death demonstrated how narratives of supremacy melted away, giving rise to more powerful stories of defiance and belief. As preparations for Lawrence's grim execution were made, a bizarre ritual emerged, a choreography blending solemnity and logistical precision. The gridiron, heated and poised above searing coals, awaited him. The crowds gathered, an ancient amalgam of curiosity and dread, ready to witness a harrowing confrontation with Rome's might. This carefully orchestrated terror aimed not only to enforce the law, but also to showcase the brutality of its application. Just as iron gripped fiercely, so did the spectators' breath catch in their throats, as the spectacle promised a harsh, visceral lesson. The iron gridiron, an uncomplicated yet fearsome tool, stood dauntingly before Lawrence, a throne of torment reflecting the Empire's indomitable will. In its iron embrace, Lawrence's suffering became spectacle, a binding of flesh to Rome's narrative of might. Crafted to hold a man above hellish heat, it symbolised the Empire's fierce application of power, a grim, silent enforcer of its rule. For onlookers, it was both a sobering monument to Rome's retribution and a testament to the vulnerability hidden beneath its facade of dominance. The bitter anticipation enveloping the crowd whispered of humanity's darkest urges, fear and fascination entwined. Noblemen stood alongside commoners as they peered into this ancient face of retribution. Their presence, a collective sanction ensuring the imperial message endured, bore witness to the interplay of power and pain. As Rome's fiery drama ignited, the crowd's drawn breaths merged with the dancing of shadows cast by the fire, etching the experience into its collective consciousness, a stark covenant with Rome's exacting laws. Through it all, Lawrence remained resolute, an indomitable spirit refusing to yield to intimidation. This unbowed humility, even before execution, underscored a truth deeper than pain. His composure transformed him from mere victim to symbol, an illustration of faith's triumph over fire's wrath. It was a quiet rebellion, a profound testament to how grace under duress can transcend darkness, transforming into a powerful legacy. In the ensuing ash of Lawrence's sacrifice, not only a life but a legend was born. His ordeal, seared into memory, became a touchstone for endurance and conviction. The telling of his story carved a historical path, illuminated by courage, unquenchable by any empire's might. Lawrence, through fire and fortitude, emerged as a timeless symbol, a testament to the enduring power of belief against the iron will of an empire faltering in its own twilight. In the grand annals of the Roman Empire, noted for its architectural feats and military conquests, there lurks a dark undercurrent of ingenious cruelty, the craft of torture. Among the sinister tools devised, the gridiron stood out for its sheer capacity to inflict suffering. This metal grill, suspended above glowing coals, was not just a means to an end, but a deliberate act of theatre, an exhibition designed to strike terror and affirm Rome's indomitable will. Constructed with a deceptive simplicity resembling a barbecue, its true horror lay beneath, a pit of coals meticulously prepared to roast the condemned alive. Throughout history and myth, the use of the gridiron has served both as a deterrent and a grim reminder of what awaited those who opposed the empire. In the midst of the 3rd century, Rome's political landscape teetered under the weight of external threats and internal chaos. Emperor Valerian, grappling with these challenges, designated Christianity as a disruptive force. For Deacon Lawrence, this political climate sealed his fate on the blistering gridiron. It was no random choice. His execution was meticulously staged to ridicule the Christian valorization, martyrdom. Here the empire sought to teach a harsh lesson. Rebellion against Rome was not only futile, but would also be met with fiery retribution. Yet Lawrence's projected defeat would carve itself into legend, a narrative scripted by coals and courage rather than subjugation. As preparations commenced, the gridiron was transformed into an arena for the ultimate sacrifice. Executioners, masters of this morbid performance art, set the stage at the heart of the city. Blacksmiths, with a craftsman's precision, tended the coals to ensure they would yield a torturous heat, not an instant incineration. To the gathered Romans, this elaborate choreography catered to their penchant for spectacle, an unsettling theatre of death that simultaneously discouraged defiance and fueled morbid curiosity. As the acrid scent of burning charcoal filled the air, the spectacle's weight settled over the city. Witnessing such an event was a societal privilege, an immersive glimpse into the empire's raw display of control. This ritualistic act was more than execution. It was a vivid exposition of Rome's supremacy over both flesh and faith. For those who viewed Lawrence's impending death as a testament to their beliefs, it was also a defiant ceremony of resistance, an audacious response to tyranny's fiery grasp. Finally, Lawrence was led to this hellish theatre, his limbs bound to the searing metal. The binding was both a physical restraint and a symbolic act, illustrating his vulnerability against Rome's overwhelming power. Unlike methods of swift demise, the gridiron was an instrument of prolonged torment, a testament to the endurance of body and spirit alike. As the iron grew incandescent beneath him, Lawrence's flesh began a visceral dance of agony, emitting a symphony of crackles and burns. The Roman audience, conditioned by such spectacles, watched with mixed emotions, some revelling in the empire's display, others witnessing its brutality as a galvanizing force. Within the flames, Lawrence's story deepened from one of mere suffering to an emblem of human resilience. His ordeal, shared with blistering flesh and unwavering spirit, became not just a spectacle, but a silent homily, a narrative of faith forged in flames. Despite the excruciating pain, Lawrence's resolve blossomed defiantly, symbolising the triumph of belief over bodily destruction. Whether through divine intervention or sheer tenacity, his sacrifice transcended personal torment, forming a legacy that endured far beyond the heat of the moment. The gathered crowd, each with differing motivations, mirrored the cultural duel playing out between an empire's might and emerging religious fervour. To many observers, this public agony was a narrative of Roman authority penned in suffering. Yet for some in the assembly, Lawrence's martyrdom recast tyranny into transcendence, revealing the tenuous line between brutal realism and nascent faith. Among them, faces oscillated between horror and awe, processing the grim scene that nevertheless breathed humanity's indefatigable spirit. The enduring image of Lawrence's sacrifice did not vanish with the embers. It ignited imaginations, inspiring art nuanced with both horror and reverence. From delicate manuscript illuminations to grand cathedral frescoes, artists captured this ordeal, balancing depictions of cruel martyrdom with serene spirituality. Each artistic rendition immortalised the event, serving as collective memory. A canvas where sacrifice and devotion mingled into a complex portrayal of human endurance. In the crucible of flame, Lawrence's spiritual fortitude shone, elevating him within Christian traditions. His ordeal fired imaginations long after his execution, leaving an indelible mark on collective consciousness. Named patron saint of the poor and cooks among others, Lawrence personified resilience, narrating a story that transcended empirical confines and inspired generations. His martyrdom affirmed a burgeoning Christian narrative, a tale of suffering redefined as strength, legacy branded into history like his ordeal on the gridiron, etched in courage and unwavering conviction. The flames that sought to silence him instead ignited a beacon of faith, illustrating a profound truth in the timeless dance between oppression and belief. In the heart of ancient Rome, amidst the murmur of onlookers and the flickering shadows cast by flames, Lawrence of Rome faced his final moments with an eerie calm that would etch his story into the annals of history. The fire danced beneath the gridiron to which he was bound, yet Lawrence seemed detached from the agony awaiting him. Witnesses were struck by his serene defiance as he lay there, skin blistering in the heat. The air was thick with the smell of burning flesh, a grim reminder of his dire predicament. Yet Lawrence's demeanour suggested a peace that was hard to fathom, a testament to his unyielding faith and extraordinary resolve in the face of certain death. Lawrence's ability to maintain such composure amid unbearable suffering turned his execution into a moment of mythic quality. In the rich tapestry of early Christian history, martyrdom was not uncommon, but his unwavering serenity elevated his sacrifice to an iconic level. As the flames licked closer, observers were forced to confront the power of belief, a stark contrast between the perceived reality of physical pain and the transcendence of spiritual conviction. His story became a lens through which courage was redefined, challenging the notion of bravery as merely the absence of fear, showcasing instead its mastery in the crucible of torment. The gridiron, originally a tool for roasting meat, became an apparatus of both physical torture and symbolic defiance. For Lawrence, it was not just a means of his execution, but the stage for his final act of resilience. The sensory onslaught was overwhelming, the hiss of searing metal, the acrid smoke, the heat beating down like a physical force. Yet, within this horrific setting, Lawrence delivered a quip so audacious it transcended the moment. As the story goes, he urged his executioners to turn him over, claiming he was done on this side. This injection of humour in the face of horror was a multifaceted act of defiance that momentarily unsettled the executioners and infused the scene with an unsettling irony. The gallows humour displayed by Lawrence speaks volumes about his character, highlighting a potent blend of courage and spiritual insight that characterised the early Christian spirit. His jest was not merely an assertion of personal dignity, it was a strategic manoeuvre to reclaim power over his fate, drawing laughter from a sorrowful situation, perplexing those who witnessed such bravery against the Empire's might. The juxtaposition of humour and suffering invites reflection on the paradox of human resilience, where Lawrence exemplified how faith could elevate one's spirit above the most dire of physical agonies. Spectators' reactions to Lawrence's terrifying end were as varied as the faces in the crowd. Roman officials saw the scene as a necessary exhibition of imperial justice, a dire warning to those who dared defy traditional order. To those of Christian faith, Lawrence's bravery ignited awe and deepened their commitment to a cause they knew would require similar resolve. The mingled sadness and admiration in their eyes spoke volumes, as they found inspiration in his martyrdom, a spark to kindle their own faith, despite the oppressive weight of Roman authority. Lawrence's execution was intended by the Romans to serve as a stern warning against rebellion, a pointed statement in flames that defiance would not be tolerated. However, this grim display backfired. Instead of sowing fear, it ignited a fervent determination in those who revered him, his burning silhouette transforming from a failed deterrent into a symbol of spiritual tenacity. Lawrence's martyrdom, rather than quelling Christian fervour, fueled it, positioning him as a beacon of hope in oppressive times, a figure to rally behind in the collective dream for religious freedom. Thus, the tale of Lawrence transcended the historical moment of his death, becoming emblematic of the virtues of sacrifice and unwavering belief central to Christian identity. Those who suffered for their faith were venerated, their stories woven into the fabric of a burgeoning religious tradition. Lawrence's willingness to endure excruciating pain while maintaining composure turned him into a hero of the faith, an example for others to emulate when facing persecution. Over the years, Lawrence's narrative evolved from a straightforward historical account into a rich tapestry of legend and allegory. Details were embellished, enriched by oral traditions, transforming the gridiron into a powerful symbol of faith, triumphant over adversity. His story, narrated through stained glass windows and ancient texts, entered the collective consciousness not as a tale of defeat, but of spiritual victory. The paradox of his suffering and serene defiance served to illuminate broader questions about human strength and divine fidelity. For historians and believers alike, Lawrence's martyrdom straddles the line between history and hagiography, challenging us to balance myth with truth. Yet, the allure of his story lies in this melding, which leaves space for interpretation while ensuring his influence endures. Whether viewed through a historical or spiritual lens, Lawrence's ordeal resonates, offering insights into the nuanced experiences of faith, inspiring generations long after the flames were extinguished. Ultimately, his legend kindles a legacy of courage and defiance, an eternal light guiding those who walk the path of belief. In the heart of ancient Rome, the Colosseum loomed large, a stone sentinel presiding over a gathering that brimmed with anticipation. The sunlight stretched across the bustling streets, casting long shadows that danced in time with the as-yet invisible flames of the day's grim proceedings. Families swarmed in. Street vendors seized the opportunity to hawk their goods. Soldiers stood with solemn duty, and civic leaders watched with steely eyes. It was a chaotic quilt of humanity, converging to witness a spectacle that blended horror and solemnity in equal measure. For the affluent, it was an event of power and poise, a declaration of Rome's might, while those of lesser means scrambled for a place in the stands, eager, anxious and intrigued. With each seat filled, the chaotic assembly settled into a unified focus, a collective gaze transfixed by the unfolding drama. The execution of Lawrence was more than just a punishment. It was a powerful reminder, a vivid narrative spun under Rome's iron sky. Within the Colosseum, both horror and entertainment awaited, a blend of terror and titillation designed to reinforce societal order. The spectacle underscored the empire's strength, a cruel diversion from life's monotonies, and an affirmation that dissent would meet the fiery wrath of imperial decree. Public executions were Rome's calculated displays of political theatre. The empire understood the volatile allure of a crowd, wielding spectacle as a tool of control. Execution was a stage where justice and brutality intertwined, a chilling message aimed not just at the accused but at every spectator. Rome tolerated no defiance. This theatre of cruelty offered the populace a dark catharsis, a narrative depicting the relentless triumph of imperial power over individual will. It fed their darkest curiosities while reassuring them of Rome's indomitable might, all wrapped in the grim flourish of authority, exacting its price. When Lawrence was led to his fate, the crowd's reaction was a tapestry of emotions, weaving awe, fear, and a whisper of regret. Each spectator saw the event through their own lens, some with hearts softened by faith, others hardened by old allegiances. To witness such raw vulnerability, a man reduced to flesh and faith, sparked dangerous conversations. Whispers of discontent flickered like shadows among the onlookers, challenging the narrative spun by Rome's imperious hand. For others, Lawrence's ordeal was a spectacle to be savoured, a rightful punishment for defying the state. The crowd's mix of cheers, gasps, and quiet sobs painted a vivid scene of Roman society, a civilization where grace and savagery tangled in dissonant harmony. The emperor's influence weighed heavily, even if he was not present. This spectacle was a declaration of power, meant to echo through the annals of history, cementing his reign through fear and force. It was a political performance, scripted to reinforce the emperor's authority while sowing seeds of revolutionary spirit beneath the surface. The crowd itself stood divided, a stark reflection of ancient class hierarchies. Nobles, in their elevated seats, viewed the execution as a testament to the protective stability of Roman rule. For them, it was justice rendered from a safe distance. Meanwhile, commoners, packed and sweltering, faced the spectacle with a grim intimacy. Among them, the event elicited a blend of grim fascination and shared hardship, offering an unsettling mirror to their own precarious lives under an empire's capricious grasp. Lawrence emerged as more than a mere victim, to be scorched by imperial wrath. He was a bastion of stoic defiance. Amidst the smoke and fervent gazes, Lawrence remained unyielding, a calm within chaos displaying resilience that drew unexpected admiration. His courage, sharpened by agony, became an undying testament to his faith, igniting a potent symbol of virtuous rebellion the Romans, ever superstitious, believed in unseen forces guiding fate. This execution, harsh and unrelenting, could not disentangle itself from the superstitions woven into their lives. Throughout the spectacle, there was an awareness that such fervent belief might harbour the divine. In executing Lawrence, the Empire risked unsettling the delicate balance of their beliefs, prompting silent questions among observers. As the flames died down, Lawrence's transformation from man to legend began. His story, crafted in the embers of sacrifice, rapidly took root in the consciousness of the Roman world. Lawrence quickly became a symbol, his legacy bound up in songs and tales told across the empire. His audacious stand against oppression turned the fires of execution into ones of enlightenment, lighting a pathway for the burgeoning Christian faith to find nourishment amidst persecution. In the aftermath, as crowds dispersed, a shadow lingered, echoing through both those who cheered and those who mourned. Reflective whispers carried the weight of the spectacle into temples and taverns, igniting discourse that questioned imperial authority. The tremors of Lawrence's execution resonated across the empire, subtly shifting the sands of societal order as whispers of doubt and defiance quietly spread. Lawrence's death left behind seeds of faith, scattered widely in an empire poised at a crossroads. His resilience under the scorching gaze of Rome set ablaze a new light, drawing the curious to the burgeoning Christian cause. With stories flourishing along trade routes and in whispered assemblies, Lawrence's spirit lived on, an indomitable force, immortalised in faith, unfettered by death's embrace. In this paradox of power and belief, the flames had merely kindled a greater reckoning, one that could not be extinguished by the Empire's grasp. In the flickering shadows of history, the tale of Lawrence's martyrdom remains a poignant testament to the enduring power of faith. In early Christianity, martyrdom was not a terminal point, but a catalyst for growth and unity. As Lawrence faced his fate, his composure amidst the flames became a beacon of stalwart defiance against imperial oppression. Instead of bowing to tyranny, he transformed his death into a profound act of spiritual courage, a narrative that reverberated far beyond his lifetime. His calm defiance was not merely an end, but a rallying cry, spreading through the empire and rooting itself deeply in the hearts and minds of the Christian faithful. The tale of Lawrence infused the burgeoning Christian identity with resilience and hope, acting as a touchstone for believers facing persecution. His execution became a poignant narrative shared within communities, offering comfort during moments of despair. By emulating the resolve of early martyrs, oppressed communities found a framework for envisioning a future where faith emerged triumphant over fear. Lawrence, therefore, was not just a figure in history, he became synonymous with courage, weaving his essence into the cultural and spiritual tapestry of Christianity. As decades turned into centuries, Lawrence's image as a martyr evolved into a powerful symbol of eternal faith. His story was not merely one of personal conviction, but an embodiment of Christian ideals, at a time when the church was both young and vulnerable. The tale of a lone deacon who stood firm against the might of an empire became a beacon of hope and strength, a reminder that belief transcends mortal suffering. Lawrence's martyrdom offered a bridge between earthly struggles and heavenly triumphs, reinforcing the message that faith equals power, and his sacrifice fueled the growing narrative of Christianity as a force of resilience. The Feast of St. Lawrence, celebrated every August 10th, captures the living memory of his sacrifice. Originating as early as the 4th century, this day celebrates Lawrence's courage and mirrors the themes of perseverance and devotion that define Christian faith. As believers gather, they reflect upon their convictions, drawing parallels between Lawrence's trials and their challenges. Over time, this observance grew into an intricate blend of liturgical rites and communal festivities, cementing Lawrence's role in the spiritual rhythm of the Church. It's a day that echoes with prayers, charity, and unity, reminding believers of the sacrifices that built the faith they hold dear. Art has been another key vessel preserving Lawrence's legacy. Vivid depictions of his martyrdom have, for centuries, conveyed the power and piety of his last moments. From frescoes to stained glass, these artistic interpretations immortalise the scene of Lawrence on the gridiron, resonating across generations as a visual testament to faith, courage, and resilience. More than mere representation, these works inspire reflection, inviting contemplation from believers and artists alike. The consistent portrayal of Lawrence's tale in art showcases not only the raw narrative of his sacrifice, but also its capacity to inspire and communicate profound spiritual messages to an audience far removed from the ancient world. Relics associated with Lawrence became cherished anchors of pilgrimage, offering a tangible link between the faithful and their spiritual forebears. Scattered across churches, these relics drew devotees seeking intercession, creating a vibrant bridge between history and spirituality. More than mere remnants, these sacred objects fostered a communal experience, encouraging believers to physically engage with the narratives of faith that define them. Such pilgrimages underscored the significance of Lawrence's martyrdom, transforming his story into a lived journey of devotion, one that continues to captivate and inspire seekers even today. Lawrence's influence extends into the world through his patronage, reflecting an unlikely but enduring connection with professions like cooks and comedians. This humorous twist adds a layer of irony to his legacy, particularly in light of his famous jest during his execution. Beyond its humour, this patronage emphasises Lawrence's adaptability to modernity and highlights the paradox often found in Christian narratives, where divinity intersects with the mundane. Thus, Lawrence's story reaches beyond history's confines, encouraging a worldview where spiritual courage is woven into everyday life and vocation. The legacy of Lawrence fosters a deep sense of cultural and community identity, offering an enduring source of spiritual strength. In recounting his tale, communities celebrate the rich heritage of conviction and charity. This cultural resonance extends outward, influencing acts of charity worldwide in his name. Through these deeds, the narrative of Lawrence becomes more than personal faith. It synthesizes societal good, revealing his life's essence in acts of kindness and solidarity. Through countless retellings, Lawrence's literary legacy endures as a testament to storytelling's powerful role in historical preservation. Whether ancient hagiographies or modern accounts, these narratives shape our understanding of Lawrence, casting him as both fact and symbol. His story, an alchemy of historical event and spiritual allegory, offers timeless lessons to successive generations. As narratives evolve, they ensure Lawrence's legacy remains a source of connection and reflection, resonating through time and tradition. When viewed through a modern lens, Lawrence's life offers rich reflections on resilience and integrity. While society has shifted, the core tenets of faith and courage remain as relevant as ever, prompting discourse on sacrifice's transformative power. Lawrence's calm acceptance of fate upends conventional perceptions of martyrdom, compelling contemporary audiences to reconsider their understanding of strength, and conviction in the face of adversity. His story stands as an enduring guide, illuminating paths of faith and fortitude for seekers in every era. Lawrence's narrative continues to form a vital part of the modern church's mission, serving as a beacon of insight and perseverance. His life symbolises the transformative power of belief, encouraging clergy and followers alike to embody the virtues of service and humility. Today, the Church honours Lawrence, intertwining his story with its evolving path. Through his example, believers are called to justice and compassion, demonstrating the timeless impact of Lawrence's martyrdom as a guiding force in the spiritual journey of millions. The tale of St. Lawrence, roasted on a gridiron, stands as one of early Christianity's most vivid martyr stories. With time, as is often the case with such tales, it has become hard to separate the strands of fact from the waves of fiction. In an era where Christians face relentless persecution, stories of believers showcasing unwavering faith and incredible resilience amidst torture became not just inspiring but essential. These narratives served a powerful purpose, offering spiritual encouragement to hold on to faith when the world seemed set against them. The dramatic and often larger-than-life tales transcended historical accuracy to emphasise conviction and courage. In a world filled with storied heroes and mythological grandeur, the Romans had long blurred the line between reality and legend. For early Christians, weaving their tales into this rich tradition of storytelling presented an extraordinary opportunity to spread their belief and foster unity. The image of Lawrence bearing the agony of death by fire with calm jesting became a vivid teaching tool. It wasn't just a matter of divine grace, but also served as a subtle critique of worldly powers, suggesting Rome's might was trivial compared to the profound spiritual rewards promised to the steadfast. While the gridiron was meant to sear and torment, it became more than just a gruesome tool of execution. It symbolised both Lawrence's suffering and the heartlessness of those who condemned him, and paradoxically, the warming glow of spiritual resilience. The burning coals that licked at his flesh echoed the imagery of the Holy Spirit, often depicted as tongues of fire, suggesting a divine intervention that mitigated pain. The imagery was not lost on those familiar with the notion of fire as both destroyer and purifier, transforming raw elements into refined states. Romans saw fire as central to domestic life, a point of ritual and cleanliness, while Christians embraced fire as a metaphor for the refining trials faced by the faithful. Historical accounts like the Liber Pontificalis, which mix biography with a spice of embellishment, offer some roots of Lawrence's legend. Poetic works like Prudentius' Peristephanon further poeticized his trials. These texts, layering religious instruction over storytelling, suggest the lines between hagiography and history were as blurred as a foggy Roman morning. With the growth of oral traditions shaped for encouragement, legends were inevitably formalised into written records. Historians now turn to these documents with a critical eye, attempting to pass cultural biases and distill fact from legendary embellishment. Modern scholars challenge the story's more miraculous aspects, such as the gridiron episode, pondering whether Lawrence might have faced a dressing down in less theatrical fashion. The absence of corroborating Roman documents stokes this debate. It prompts reflection on the function of hagiographies, which may not be historical accounts but spiritual exhortations meant to inspire faith more than document truth. These narratives, while dressed in flamboyant moral symbols, peel back layers of insight into the values that early Christians held dear. A tale of belief woven into the aspirations of a beset community. Lawrence's tale is firmly set within a broader tapestry of resistance against authority. Stories of defiance against empire echoed throughout literature, highlighting the tension between the little spirit of the individual and the vast machinery of imperial force, a sentiment not unfamiliar to the Roman audience. As Christianity evolved from marginalised sect to state religion, narratives like Lawrence's reframed the relationship between divine justice and imperial resolve. With Christianity spreading, the tale was richly adapted by various cultures. In regions like Hispania, Lawrence's story took on the local hues, shaped by Spanish traditions and religious fervour. These regional twists showcased how the tale could adapt and maintain relevance, reflecting the prevailing moods and socio-religious climates of different periods. Art, with its vivid depictions, played a pivotal role in preserving Lawrence's story. From medieval frescoes to resplendent Renaissance pieces, visual representations immortalised his sacrifice. The iconography of Lawrence's calmly enduring torment became a constant affirmation of the faith, fostering shared memory even among those who could not read but lived deeply visual lives. These artistic portrayals became an essential part of the communal church experience, etching his story into the hearts of the faithful. Interestingly, Lawrence's narrative converged with older pagan rituals. His feast day falls on the same date as the Vulcanalia, a festival for the god of fire. Such intersections reflect how Christian stories could be layered over existing customs, easing the transition for converts by intertwining familiar practices with new religious meanings. This clever synchronization helped Christianity to gradually supplant older faiths while integrating their cultural truths. The pilgrimage tradition further magnified Lawrence's influence. Sites associated with his life became focal points for the devout, turning his narrative into something pilgrims could touch and experience. Pilgrimages solidified Lawrence's story, creating a tangible link between history and faith as travellers shared tales and gathered inspiration from the journey. Today, whether seen primarily as legend or historical figure, Lawrence continues to resonate due to his embodiment of resolve amidst darkness. While scholars may challenge the literal details, the core of his story, a symbol of faith's triumph over oppression, remains unassailable. His narrative speaks of an enduring human spirit, reminding us that conviction can shine even when surrounded by despair, leaving a legacy that transcends myth to reflect a deeper truth. St. Lawrence's martyrdom reverberated through history, leaving echoes of sacrifice that lingered far beyond his fiery end on the Roman gridiron. The chilling mix of horror and awe that greeted his death soon transformed Lawrence into a symbol of unwavering faith and defiance against oppression. For early Christians, his story represented not mere tragedy, but spiritual triumph over the might of the Roman Empire, illustrating that their faith could transcend temporal power. This tale of sacrifice became an act of rebellion, a testament to the unmoved hearts that couldn't be broken by imperial edicts or executioners' flames, stirring Christians to uphold their beliefs despite relentless persecution. As Lawrence's legend spread, it transcended geographical borders, embedding itself in cultural consciousness. Pilgrims journeyed to Rome long after his death, not just to honour the site of his last breath, but to engage in an unspoken sermon celebrating a narrative that empowered countless believers. His essence endured through the ages, inscribing new motifs of courage and hope on a grand spiritual horizon, far removed from immediate tribulations. Whether facing a literal or metaphorical grilling, Lawrence's story remains an immortal chant of defiance, echoing through history as a testament to the human spirit's resilience. The site of Lawrence's execution itself evolved from a memory of brutality to a revered sanctum, on which the Basilica di San Lorenzo fuori le mura arose. Constructed in the 4th century, the basilica stood not just as a memorial but as a profound architectural testament to enduring faith. It became a pilgrimage site where believers could almost touch the celestial through Lawrence's intercession. Its soaring arches and sanctuaries attracted the faithful eager to honour a martyr whose enduring courage seemed to infuse the very stones with an indomitable essence. This ground, once a scene of suffering, became a place of healing, embodying the Christian doctrine of redemption and reminding believers that worldly shadows are temporary. Throughout history, St. Lawrence's narrative shaped and defined the evolving archetype of the Christian martyr, revered and emulated within the community. His story became illustrative of a broader tradition where serene individuals face death confidently, underscoring the virtues of courage and sacrifice. Not as a tragic end, martyrdom was Lawrence's passage from earthly suffering to divine joy. Artists immortalised his journey through paintings and sculptures, often juxtaposing his earthly torment with heavenly reward. This vivid visual storytelling captured Lawrence's transformative martyrdom, challenging believers to contemplate their devotion. Over centuries, Lawrence transitioned from religious martyr to a beloved figure in folk tradition, where his story, coloured by layers of legend and myth, permeated cultural folklore. Seen as both a saint and a figure of miraculous intervention, tales of his bravery resonated throughout oral traditions. These stories enriched his legacy, evolving to fulfill the spiritual needs of diverse communities and transforming Lawrence into a divine intercessor. Whether attributed to miraculous rainfalls or guiding lost travellers, these tales highlighted his enduring influence, bridging the sacred with the mundane. Lawrence's legacy resonated particularly during turbulent times, embodying unity and defiance against oppression. His narrative reminded disparate communities of the strength found in communal solidarity. Even as political climates oscillated, Lawrence stood as a steadfast symbol of unified resistance. Invoked in sermons as an exemplar of courage, his story encouraged communities to brave storms together, forming an unbreakable bond in faith and fellowship. His legacy transcended mere martyrdom. It became a vibrant part of cultural consciousness, knitting believers into a tapestry of shared courage. As Lawrence's veneration spread, he was invoked as a patron saint, protector, and healer, bolstering his legacy within the church. Communities sought his intercession against the destructive forces of both the literal and metaphorical world. His narrative of protection and miraculous recovery inspired pilgrimages, reinforcing the belief in divine intervention. Through him, many believed that divine mercy might touch human suffering, a testament to the enduring faith that Lawrence continued to inspire. Today, St. Lawrence's story finds expression in myriad artistic forms, from mosaics to stained glass, allowing believers to witness his courage through vivid visual narratives. Artists used his iconic gridiron to juxtapose worldly torment with spiritual grace. Artistic endeavours did more than commemorate. They communicated, bridging past and present, ensuring Lawrence's legacy survived not as historical curiosity, but as a living narrative. His legacy extended even into eras of religious reformation, where Lawrence's story embodied tensions between institutional power and personal conviction. Reformers saw in his unwavering integrity a call to return to faith's core tenets of sacrifice and truth, grounding the faithful amidst shifting doctrines. Lawrence's spirit was a relentless reminder that courage in persecution was indelible to the faith, deserving respect and reflection. In contemplating St. Lawrence's legacy, one sees lessons interwoven across both faith and general human experience. His story, rich with universal themes of courage and commitment, inspires believers to transform fear into defiance. It offers insights into resilience amidst adversity, showcasing the spirit's capacity for extraordinary feats. The narrative of St. Lawrence, timeless in its simplicity, invites admiration and introspection on belief, sacrifice, and enduring hope. As his story ends, let it light your spirit towards courage. And should you resonate with this tale, remember to like and subscribe to our channel for more captivating narratives.